right here with Rick Brandon. I'm here today with a good friend of mine, Mr. Sheppard.
How are you, sir?
Good. DeMarcus Sheppard.
Yes, sir.
I call him DeMarcus, like his brother.
And it's crazy because everybody calls him DeMarcus looking for a bill that's on the invoice. It's Shep.
Well, friends call him Shep, but we've actually got to know each other the last year to date, I think. Last year, stock show.
About 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been the second year of the stock show.
Yeah.
Of us, the syndicate together.
We share a common thing that happened to us that night. We both are both travel a lot of bars, travel a lot of places, but nothing's ever happened to us like it did that night.
That was a one-time experience, and I had no idea you was dealing with the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got roofied. We didn't even get to enjoy it. We don't remember none of that. But it hurt for a couple of days afterwards.
Yeah, sure. I felt it, and I don't know how I ended up in Frisco that night.
Yeah, me either. I lived right down the road and I got home, which that's just not me. But anyways, DeMarcus is a one-of-a-kind person. Reminds me of a lot of characteristics I represent, and as we've gotten to know each other, we've become pretty close. And I want to talk about his story, where he came from, all the goods, the bad, the uglies. Everybody wants to see the car wreck.
Yeah,
they're looking at 2 car wrecks right here.
It's like, I'm it, So, man, it's really, a typical story of everybody, from the country. Well, East Texas boy. I grew up in Henderson, Texas. Mom and dad, separated. My dad's from Red Claw, which is what we call, Fairview. And, truly hometown roots, dirt roads, mailbox on the top of the hill. You walk to the mailbox, get your mail. That's where I grew up, and
that's red dirt country, right?
That's red dirt. That's Pine Woods, man. East Texas, That's where it started for me. So that's where my roots are, and that's my foundation, my morale, my morals, and everything kind of comes and steams from those days out there working in the fields and mowing yards, rodeo, and trying to play football.
Yeah. Well, talk about your mom and dad.
Mom and dad, my parents, man, been separated all my whole life. My dad worked for the state. My mom worked in nursing homes and stuff like that. She took care of old folks and stuff like that. So I always had 2 different extremes of my views of life. Dad was always, working or helping somebody. And then on the other side, my mother's side, she's always like taking care of people as well as, the elderly. So kind of gave me a balance of, compassion, sympathy, just having a heart for other people. And, in the country, we go to church. We go to church a lot. So, my faith has always been the center of kind of everything that I do. And I'm a wild child, so,
Pearl.
Yeah, there you go.
Pearl cat. Pearl black cat.
Yes, sir.
But, what about your father?
My father, man, so my dad grew up in the church, worked for the highway department for years. We always, my dad, he worked with me. But, I grew up, my grandparents was there, my uncles. My dad's side of the family is what introduced me to rodeo. We've always had horses. Big Daddy had a ranch, which is my grandfather. We had cattle everywhere. And then, on where we live, it's like a dead end and goes around the corner. The whole family lives on the land. You got uncles over here, cousins over here, and on the top of the hill, when you first turn in and pull into where I grew up, on the right-hand side, we call Uncle Harold Sheppard. Camp roper, train horses, everybody, that was my introduction into the rodeo world. I don't even talk about me and Lil Harold riding the Chevy pony. We had one named Donut that the whole family pretty much grew up riding. Then you had Knothead. And as we grew up, we moved up with horses, but, we were always little black boys riding these Shetland ponies, roping these calves that's the size of a Shetland pony, And me, I was, a little man child, so I'm damn near too big for the horse and the calf. And it was good times, you sit back now and you think about those beginnings and how humble it was, and you appreciate life a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I think we both grew up as big old boys, bigger in life, bigger in the waist, bigger everywhere else, you know. And I think, you know, those are challenges that we don't look like the normal folk when it comes to, you know, all the preppy and all the things don't fit us like it fits everybody else. You know, that is a common thing, you know, that people understand about the big boy life.
Yeah.
It ain't glamorous you think. I mean, we are sexy and fine, but, you know, but we also have the challenges of being able to fit clothes, fit horses, fit saddles.
Correct.
It's a big and tall store throughout your whole life, no matter what adventure you're in.
You know what I've learned, you know, just listening to you say the whole big personality.
Yep.
You know, coming up, you know, I grew up poor. I'm not going to say I grew up with a horrible life, but, you know, we had a lot of love. Mm-hmm. But it was, you know, a lot of rough times coming up, which I'm grateful for because of the aspect of where I am now. That's what made me appreciate everything so much more. And like my compassion, people tell me all the time, man, you give too much, you help too many people. I don't know anything any different because when I came up, everybody helps everybody. You know, for school, the teachers are going to help you. You know, half of my teachers' days and teachers' assistants was family. And we all knew if you got in trouble at school, you know, you're getting your ass whooped. Whether the teacher told somebody, told your mama, it's going to be happening before you get home. And then when you get home, it's going to get addressed.
Right.
You know, and I think, you know, for morality and kind of where things are now, if we got back to those type of days, we'd be a lot better off.
Yeah, everybody would be. Even the people that don't think they would like it or deserve it or think it's bad, it's really not bad. It just keeps you in check. You know, I don't think there's any kind of checks and balances that go on with raising kids no more. Yeah. They just let them run free.
This new days is just crazy, you know.
They take them in a Walmart and they just let them run free. Back in the day, they just snatched it up, take your ass right there in the middle.
Or they're sitting there with a leash on the damn kid, you know, and don't do this, don't do that.
The backpack leashes. What the hell is that? How to break off that thing? But, so, one common name you brought up, being around, and we've been at different shows together and stuff, Big Daddy. We're at Dallas Safari Club in Atlanta, Georgia, and you introduced me to your farrier, and I kept hearing that same thing.
Grandparents.
Yeah.
For me, you know, in the country, the old folks are like, they have massive impacts on the kids' lives. My parents are present in my life. Mom and dad was always there. But Big Daddy, like my father's parents, my grandpa, my mother's side, and then my grandma, they just had a special place because of how they just were impacted in my life. You know, when mama was at work or dad was at work, I was with my grandmother and my grandpa. And I was always there with them. So now people laugh at me. I'm a young man, but I'm an old man. Because I've been around old folks my entire life. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for me, all my bad habits, all my good habits, everything that as I grow older in life and I mature as my walk, I sit and I see things that I laugh about because I'm like, man, I'm just like it. You know, and for me, it's a blessing with it for me to be able to experience and see, you know, where I come from, that dirt road, sitting on that porch, that little white house, you know, Big Daddy sitting on the porch, spitting his tobacco, you know, grandma in the house, and my grandmother was in a wheelchair. So, you know, I did a lot for her. That was kind of one of those things where I just believe in helping somebody because even though she didn't have any legs, she would outwork the person with two legs. Mm-hmm. But then when we were home, she would still take care of the kids, cook. Big Daddy was fine. You know, he'd sit in his chair when he come out in the fields or working cattle. And she took care of the whole house. Mm-hmm. So, you know, for me, now that I look back on life, that's probably one of the best times of my life. And when I feel like I'm getting too far left or too far right, I reflect on those times. And it was the same thing with my mom's parents. You know, my grandmother was big in the church. You know, we sing, we went to church, we're going to sing in the choir, we're going to do everything all the way through this deal because that's what grandma wanted. Then my grandfather on that side had hogs. So we had hog pens, we got to chase these damn hogs all over the country. We get off the school bus, hogs down the street out. It's embarrassing as hell, you know. But now, it's funny thinking about that because it's about balance and it's synergy. You know, people look at what I do for a living. I'm a custom home builder. You know, I own a commercial maintenance company on the other side of the fence. They look at the glam and look at all the stuff, but you kind of lose track of reality of what the actual person is like. which is one of the things that's brought our bond so close together. We're in the hustle and bustle, and you're fighting the fight every single day, answering the pleas of all these people. Sometimes, and I just recently thought about this, talking to you, you got to go back to those dirt road days, man. You got to think, when you sit out there, and it's like now, my dad still lives on the same land. I can pull up on top of that hill, and it's like, it's God's country. The pressure comes off, it's like, I don't care about the cell phones. I don't care about whose invoice ain't paid. I don't care about who owes me money. It's just simple.
Get caught up in it.
The rat race.
Yeah. And they had this movie come out in our age or era. And it's become popular a little bit again, Pure Country. And I remember the part where, George Strait's on the road, got the ponytail, and
Dusty.
Best friend, Dusty. Yeah. Best friend is trying to hunt him down. He ran away.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And Grandma Ivy sitting on the front porch. Man. She's telling him a story about, when the roots are getting when the trunk's getting too big for the root system, you gotta cut it off. Let it reach in. I feel like we all do that.
That movie has been a real part of my life twice. When my grandmother was living, I was in the custom motorcycle world back then. I had owned a custom shop. I was on TV building, and I was early 20s. I hit that stop sign. I just hit that wall, and the money was there, the fame was there, everything was there except my peace. I had found myself in that Hollywood world, where I was losing myself. And, to be totally transparent, I hit that wall again about 3 months ago, where it's like, man, I question my existence and what am I doing this for? I look at the outside and see all this worldly things and almost like forget who the man is. Mm-hmm. And, through my walk and then just good relationships and just, man, you talk 1,000 times about it. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you don't realize you were talking me off the ledge. And I'm like, me and you, it's weird how we have a connection because I know I can talk to you about it and you understand. Versus talking to a lot of people that just, oh man, you have this, your company's this and your company's that. It's different when you understand where it starts and where the road ends.
Well, there's two big differences in us, but they're not. But this is how the world defines us. And just listen to it for a minute. But we're both in the construction business. Mm-hmm. Don't necessarily compete against each other. But typically, anybody in construction, they will not be friends with somebody else in construction. That's not a thing with us. And then we get in a race. You black, I'm white.
Correct.
I don't give a shit what color you are. You don't give a shit what color I am.
You're my brother.
We still talk. Yeah. And we're probably closer than most people. And you get these analogies of things in life that walk you through just how the world views things. And then when you're not that person, you rebel. And you go back to home. You go back to the thing. You want your life freshened up? Watch Pure Country. Yeah. Watch The Goonies. Yeah. Watch something that you and a kid that brought you peace. Because the world takes the peace from us.
Correct.
But we let it.
Correct.
We are our own people. Absolutely. We let materialistic things, we let the hustle and bustle get in the way of who we are, and they take our peace.
Correct.
And as you get slapped in the face like I have and hit all the walls that you have, you learn how to get your peace back. It might not be the way you want to see it. You gotta let that shit go.
Yeah.
Because in the end, it's the relationships, the people around you that really love you, gives you back your peace.
Correct.
And I've hit the same kind of walls in the last 2 years. And, talking to each other, we both talked to each other and had some teary issues together. And, shit we never admit, but teared up events. But I think in the end, we understand what those walls feel like when you hit them. We also know how to be that person when you hit them, what it takes to put you back together. But ultimately, losing your peace, letting materialistic things get in the way of, or just admitting you're failing at something. It's okay. But one thing that we always know how to do is how to work. Mm-hmm. And you can't take it away from us.
I ain't afraid.
You can take everything away from us, but you can't take that away from us. No. And that's one thing the world does not know how to do no more. So it makes me even more fearless. Like, people are paying to have somebody come by their car and put gas in it while they're at work. I mean, that's fine. I'm in the service industry just like you are. And I'm not making fun of that person. I'd be glad to take their money.
Yeah, that's easy money.
But me, no. But me, I'm not into that. I can stop at a gas station.
So I'm the same way. I don't believe in that Instacart.
Right.
You know, you can't go get your own damn groceries. You know, I don't give a shit how much money I make. I think it's just something about being able to go to the grocery store and pick up your own fucking groceries.
Right.
You know, that's crazy to me. You know, I've never used Instacart. I've never used Grubhub, the food delivery. I won't even eat the shit somebody else dropping on the fucking floor and tell me it's there.
Have you ever seen them before? You're not going to eat what they're bringing. I don't care if it's got a label on it or a seal on it at all. But when you see these people, I'm not saying they're all that way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're working. I can't knock them. They're doing something.
Yeah.
They're not taking, they're giving. But it's like, I just thought I've never been a part of that society.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't get it. But going back to, I know how to work. And
You cannot work me. You know, one of the things is I've hit a wall 50 times in my life. You know, I've been in business my entire life. I started out in the car industry as a finance director. I worked my way up. You know, I've owned motorcycle dealerships, but I hit that wall several times in life. And one of the main things for me is, you know, I never stop working. I don't give a shit if I got to go here and change tires, if I got to go back and grab a chainsaw and cut wood, stack firewood. You know, I've been working my whole life, and it's just, for me, I think the new analogy is that dog eating. I got that dog. You ain't gonna sit me on a rock and just, I won't move.
Yeah.
If it comes to it, let's go.
Yeah.
And I ain't afraid, and I ain't gonna get tired. Let's go. And I think that's the difference in what society lacks now. You know, being able to accept failure and not just lay there. I've hit this before in life, and one of the things that even now that I'm thinking about it, is that's what picks me back up. You know, my uncle that recently passed early this year, I got aunties literally that called me Bill Wayne. That's my uncle, Bill Sheppard. He didn't take no shit from nobody. You know, but he always put me together when the hustle and bustle just made me hit that wall. And in his obituary, I wrote a poem, a letter basically to him of what his role was in my life. You know, and one of the things that I said, you know, it was never a time that I knew, no matter where I was in the world, that I never heard your words tell me, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what you're dealing with, you know, this land is always going to be here. You always can come home and be reset. So when he passed, I didn't go home for almost 7-8 months. And my dad lives literally 30 foot from where my uncle house sits now. And it was just hard for me because I never came up that hill and crossed that corridor and never seen my dad and my uncle.
Right.
Never in my life. And it was just like having to deal with, okay, it's real. Now I have to take on that role and be that no matter what, don't forget who you are. Don't forget where you come from. This land, we work this land. You know, it's not a situation of this is some land that was bought. My grandfather was a slave and worked that land. It's deeply rooted in me. And for me, that's why I have to take the world by storm.
Right.
Nothing's given to me. Nothing's taken for granted. But you damn shit on there. And, you know, work ethic is something that you can't take that from me.
No. And I think, me and my GM, which is probably one of my best friends in life, has done a lot for me when I've been on the struggle bus of keeping me in reality of not trying to kill everybody around me when I'm in a bad way. But he said, what is your biggest fear in life? And I said, there's really nothing. He said, you're not scared of death. No. It never crosses my mind, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I said, the only thing that would really piss me off about dying is I can't leave my marks no more. It's got to be 3 y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is I won't be able to see him on the funeral because it's going to be very eclectic. You're going to see every walk of life show up to there. From bikers to black people to Mexican people to hookers to strippers. You name it. But it's not because they're bad people, but I have so many relationships throughout the world.
All the genres are different.
All the genres. And it's not that I was ever with a hooker or ever with a stripper, but I have helped people.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a diamond in the bluff all the time, and I polish the shit out of it. I always have to have a project. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds terrible, but to me, I'm trying to fix something.
Yeah.
I feel like I can fix it. I'm gonna fix it.
Yeah.
And that's why those people will show up is because they believed in what I was about.
Correct.
And that's a great reward to me.
Mm-hmm.
it might blow people's mind that you have a little cross section.
I think my family's gonna look just like yours.
Yeah.
You know, the blacks, the whites, the bikers, the hookers, the strippers. I'm the same exact way. I mean, ironically enough, you know, when we first met, we have mutual friends.
Right.
And they were like, we have been in the same place at the same time. And literally, I heard, you the black Brad. Mm-hmm. Or black DeMarcus.
Yeah.
We have so much in common but never met. I told you when I first met you, I sent so many people to your website to look at your stuff. Never knew who you were, but I liked your design. I'm like, hey, you know, this guy's good quality stuff. I'm not one of those guys in construction that if it's something I don't do, I'm going to send to somebody else that I feel is credible. Right. And, you know, for me, people was coming to me for barn dominiums, and that's not what I do. At the time, I wasn't even interested in the barn dominium. Yeah. I always saw your website. I always seen your stuff around, not knowing that you were from Greenville. I was just passed through there, and I always seen your logo. So I looked you up, looked up the company. Hey man, this guy deals good stuff, and we are in the rodeo world together. So I always seen your logo. Yeah. I didn't know who you were. Never knew who you were until the day we actually spoke, and we were both in the same corner doing the exact same thing at the stock show.
Yep. Don't remember much of it. But.
Yeah.